You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the November 2024 regular council meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. Today's meeting begins with a St. Stephen Business Improvement Area year-end update presentation by Heather Donahue. Under Bylaws, Bylaw 03-23-1, an amendment to Bylaw 03-23 respecting remuneration of council, will be given its second reading in its entirety and its third and final reading by title. Bylaw 01-24, a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy, will be given its first reading in its entirety. Under New Business, Council will move to approve the recommendations made by the Visitor Information Center Working Group. Council will also move to authorize the purchase of a budget software package. Finally, Council will move to authorize the Mayor and Clerk to sign an agreement on the Canada Community Building Fund. Now let's join Council in the Moosehead Room at the Garceland Civic Center in St. Stephen.
Municipal District of St. Stephen Council agenda for November 27, 2024 at 6 p.m. Call to order. Everyone's here. We got Councillor Greenlaw up on the big screen, so he's here and online. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on the ancestral unceded territory of the Passamaquoddy people. All right. First, I need a mover and seconder for the agenda for the regular council meeting of November 27, 2024 be approved with the addition of the following late closed session agenda item.
So moved.
Councillor Eastman, Councillor Harding. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for the approval. Okay, disclosure of conflict of interest. Any disclosures of conflicts of interest tonight? Seeing none, thank you. All right. Take a mover and seconder for the minutes of the special council meeting held on November 6, 2024 be approved as presented.
So moved.
Councillor Wright.
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Wheaton. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you. And I'll take another mover and seconder. The minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 30th, 2024 be approved as presented.
So moved.
Councillor Heislett?
Second.
Councillor Eastman? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public delegations. It's for Heather. Downtown St. Stephen Business Improvement Area year-end update. Heather Donahue, please. Floor is yours.
Good evening. So I sent a letter, which was attached was our budget for the end of this year and for next year. Our year end is August the 31st. And so, as you can see, we have a very small budget. And it's basically the same. The government brought out what the levy would actually be after we had our AGM. So we based it on what the province sends me quarterly BIA levy reports. So that's where I got the 28,000. But with adjustments, reassessments, it come in higher. Usually it comes in lower, but it come in higher, and so the actual levy for 2025 is going to be $28,989. So our levy is based on 20 cents per $100 assessment. It's been 20 cents for years. That's the highest we can go, and do you guys have any questions for me?
Future projects grants, is that what's expected, or is that what you have in the bank now?
The future projects, we are basing that on we're hoping that downtown New Brunswick will receive the $250,000 from the province. And that would be maximum 2 projects. Because we can claim up to 75% of the project, up to $20,000. So that's where we got the $40,000. We're hoping that we'll do 2 projects, max it out at $20,000 per project. And that's where we purchased the picnic tables, the trash cans, the plaza benches, the flower pots, and we finished up the free parking on the downtown St. Stephen's sign across from Customs. And then the other came for, it was towards the mural, celebration of botany on Briggs Plumbing Wall. So if there's any projects that MDSS would like the BIA to work on in the new year, I mean, I think we need to sit down and hash it out, and fingers crossed we'll get the grant from downtown New Brunswick.
So I'm still a little confused. There's follow-up? Yeah. So that's that 40,000. This is 24, 25 budget, right? So that's what's just expected then. It's not actual in the bank right now.
No.
Okay.
No. We're hoping we get it. We may not get it. So it's sort of just an in and an out. I mean, I'm always looking for grants, and, you know, as long as it pertains to downtown St. Stephen, I can go for. It's a pretty standard.
Oh,
budget.
sorry.
In this for years. Oh, sorry.
No, I might just cut you off by mistake. Because that's going to go to, Councillor Harding?
Thank you, Your Worship. Anytime that I read something that you write, Heather, you are always doing something for Five Kings Restaurant. Can you point out what you've done for other people in other sections of the town?
Well, the Five Kings Restaurant, that's where we held the Moonlight Music Festival, which Tropical Storm Debbie blew through. I can't honestly say that there's really any other business. Like in July, we did Christmas in July, and anybody that wanted to join, that was completely free. I did the work. I did the promotions, so anybody who wanted to join. But to hold an event, the square is where you go, and that's where it's always Lisa.
Okay.
If you.
Okay, it's just that I've been going around in the last week or two, and I've been visiting businesses, and I see a lot of potential in a lot of businesses around town. First of all, I started with Fat Pie, and I worked my way down for my Christmas shopping list, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at the Chocolatier and work myself up to the mall. But there are a lot of thriving businesses in this town, and I was just wondering if maybe sometime you could pick one of them.
But to hold an event, you need the space.
Right, but I'm sure that some of them probably would like to enter into something like that. I'm not saying they would, and nobody's ever said anything to me one way or another. I'm just questioning it.
Well, I mean, I can send out an email to everybody, and like Little Gems, she's rocking it downtown. She's holding events. So I do social media for downtown St. Stephen, and that's all complimentary to the businesses. If you like my page, Downtown St. Stephen, you'll see the promotions going out, and that's all. They don't pay for any of that. And so, I mean, I'd love to hold something somewhere else.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Rodas?
I got a couple questions. So I'll start with the first one. So one thing is I would love to see, now that we have all these different food flavors, I would love to see kind of like a street festival downtown. I'm sure you probably already even thought of that and chatted with some people, but I think we're actually at a place now where we could have a really fun block party, and it would be really neat to have like a downtown business block party with all of these different new businesses. So
Well, Scoops and Goodies just rolled out a new menu. They've got faux soup. Their new menu looks delicious. So that was shared on downtown St. Stephen. So yes, we have talked, the chamber and the BIA, because we figure like a trail. Yeah. But we won't be able to shut down the streets like Indulge does. But no, we've already been in discussion.
Next question is just around kind of community education. So could you explain in layman's terms, if you are a downtown business and you pay into this levy, how kind of the BIA was quickly, like in kind of 5 sentences, how it was established in 1985, what the purpose of the BIA is, how it relates to MDSS, and what you get out of it as a downtown business when you're paying into it, and kind of the boundaries. Just because some people tune into the occasional meeting, but it's always good to just review that so they understand your role and the purpose.
So our boundaries started at the former St. Stephen Inn. And now where that's residential, we don't get any levy off that. But that's where it starts, 99 King Street. It goes down onto Milltown Boulevard, down to Watson Street. It goes in around the Bud Avenue. At that time, the Bud Avenue Save Easy would have been there. There's no levy attached to the Civic Center. The levies are only attached to commercial properties, and we have 73 properties that there's a levy attached. It was formed in 1984, and it's very interesting to see the names and the businesses, because I think there were 40 businesses and names that, I think your grandfather was there. So, it's interesting to see what we had that is gone today. And, and we still do have some of those original businesses. Bill Garslin was the driving force to do the BIA. So, yes, so if it's mixed residential commercial, the levy is adjusted. It's only on the commercial. And it's 20 cents per $100. And so the assessment for 2025 of the businesses, the commercial properties in downtown St. Stephen, it come in at $14,494,900. So if you take 20 cents per 100, that's where we get the levy, $28,989.80. It's a small budget. We're a very small BIA. Actually, from the time I started to where we are today, we've probably lost $10,000. So, and it just, when buildings get torn down or they depreciate and they, reassess, that's where it goes. So if it's, when the Civic Center was being built, I was all excited because I was thinking, man, this is going to be a great levy. But then I found out anything that has an ice surface doesn't have a levy. And then we lost the St. Stephen Inn. And so that's why it keeps going down every year.
Okay. Councillor Heisler?
I know the downtown dollars, we asked about that quite a while ago. I think you asked about it, Your Worship. I don't see, it's not in the budget, but I know you had $2,000. I read that. Yep. That should be in the budget.
And to take
Off of that, like who purchases the $10,000 off the bat? I mean, I know you get it back probably once the businesses turn them
So
in.
normally, once a year, I do a blowout sale. It's 10%. But this year, downtown New Brunswick gave us all $2,000. So I could have put it on, you know, we talked about it, and we decided we were going to give the community 20% off. So the purchaser or the shopper gets a 20% discount. The businesses get full value. And so last Friday, I sold over $10,000. And actually, I went over. People come in, and then I didn't have the heart to say, because it said till we sell out. But I thought, you know, Merry Christmas. So it was very, and I'll tell you, one person that bought from me, they walked right over to Guy Arday, and they put that money on their insurance. And so that purchaser received 20% off their insurance, but Guy Arday received the full value. I give them back. So it's just an incentive to keep people shopping in the downtown. Yeah, well, I mean, lots hope for downtown New Brunswick's grants, because then we're going to have to go back to 10% because we absorb that.
So if you absorb that, like that's $1,000, right, on 10,000? If you were absorbing,
We never sold 10,000. We sold only 5,000. 5,000.
and you got a tight budget, and I just don't see it in the,
We put that in advertising.
advertising, okay.
Yes, we put it for advertising. And the donations, that falls from the, well, you know, we give we give free downtown dollars if, you know, out and about.
Councilor Wright?
Thank you, Mayor. Just in your report, it says in the past, lost my place here. We're pleased to say that in the last 4 years, St. Stephen BIA has given $248,371.71 in gifts to MDSS, festivals, et cetera. So I just want, I guess I'm making the point to clarify, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that that's not money collected from the levy. Most of that must be grants that you've applied for, because that's, you haven't even brought in that much. So that's it's not the local businesses shelling that much back to the town. That's grants that the BIA has worked towards.
No, that's all grant money that I have applied for and received.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify that it wasn't the BIA handing back that amount of taxes.
And that's
Yeah.
another, you know, I have access to maybe some different grants that, you know, maybe MDSS doesn't have access to. Well, for example, downtown or New Brunswick. And I belong to 2 associations. I pay $300 in dues, and that's, I have to pay $200 to downtown New Brunswick, and I pay $100 to downtown Atlantic.
Okay. And you got anything else to add, Heather? Okay. All right, thanks for the presentation. And for everything else that you do all year. Yeah. All right.
And
so
I've already started looking for grants for this year, for 2025.
Okay, next up, you got the, CAO report. I guess, I think I'm mover and seconder to move into the CAO report. Councilor Eastman, Councilor Harding, okay. Floor is yours, Jeff, if you want to share any highlights of your report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So once again, we filed all the departments as one report, but as you see, there's a number of staff here with me today to field questions if they come up. From the CAO office, I'm sure all of council can understand, spend a lot of time staring at spreadsheets and trying to manage my way through budget these days. of recent, most of my time is being dedicated to the capital budget, trying to provide council with a capital budget with set up a little stronger than we have in the past as far as being able to lay out the projects, the funding sources, and things like that. Building it largely from, or a good portion of that is coming from your road study that we had done. We had a great meeting between myself and Mr. Morton and our engineers looking at the 2025 allotments from that study. And when we were able to bring down the price tag of those projects as we went through and added some local knowledge and planning around it that the simple computer going up and down the road assessing the roads didn't have. So we were able to bring that number quite significantly down, which you will see when we get to capital budgeting. And then, of course, we always have other capital needs in other areas of our operation. So that's the challenge I've been working on the last little while. Happy to say that I've been spending a fair bit of time during this reporting period working on having meetings about in the economic development front, specifically around housing. Couple of developers, we were able to sit down. One was a little further along, so we actually had myself, Mr. Henderson, Mr. Morton, Mr. Beach, kind of one-stop shopping for the developer, from infrastructure to planning to development incentive to, and be able to provide that one-stop shopping for them as to keep them moving towards their project outcomes. And also had a nice exchange, the mayor and I had a nice exchange with a potential hotelier who was intrigued by our development incentive package. Kind of sent me a tax bill from another community where he does have a hotel, and said, okay, if this is what I had in your community, what would the incentive package look like? I was able to at least provide a sample calculation for him, same day actually that he asked, and his response was that he was very impressed, and it was quite a significant package that our system creates. So he's still intrigued and working towards his project. As we all know, our primary hotel site, which is across the street, those that are selling it on behalf of the court still have a significant price tag on it. That's the major limiting factor right now. So we will keep our eye on that, because as that changes, I think we're going to start seeing more action and more consideration of that site. Obviously, the recent announcement by our friends at GNB and Neighborhood Works regarding their shelter development had a number of citizens reach out to my office, try to assist them with connecting to the people that are in the know, and working with my colleague, the Deputy Minister at Social Development, to make those connections available. So we were able to deal with that and get that out. Some of the policy work that we talked about at our last committee of the whole meeting is already underway, as well as a few other policies that have been sitting on the corner of my desk. So been busy in our office, but primarily it's all about budget this time of year, and hoping that we can schedule a meeting with council next week to take the next step in that process, so that we can get to an approval as quickly as possible. As GNB was hoping to see us submit our budgets on Friday, which we are not. I will tell you right now, we are not going to be in a position to do. But it is timing will become of the essence eventually. So from the CAO's department, that's what I have. So if there's any questions on that, I'll take them happily.
Okay. Nope. We can move on to the next report.
Mr. Morton says his regrets. His expertise was actually requested by, I think it was the Fundy Firefighters Association. They needed his expertise to do a little bit of, I think it was some training on some things. So the reports are here as written. Did want me to note that the misnomer in the building inspector report referencing unsightly properties. We've talked to our building inspector about using the full title, because the wording is throwing people off as to the intent. He's trying to reference unsightly and dangerous properties bylaw, and he just used the colloquial that we use in the office on a regular basis. So we are working on getting better practices around that, and trying to take a closer look at that before the reports get filed. But yeah, I'm happy to take questions if there are any, or at least relay them.
No? Okay. Oh, check on Wade up there. Okay, next one.
Frank, do you want to do any highlights from?
Oh, sorry, that's Frank's. Okay, yep.
The report's actually there in front of you. I guess I'll just comment on a couple of things. The majority of my time is spent on audit prep work, basically every day right now, trying to get prepared for them to come down. Their initial visit will be on Tuesday. And in addition, I'm working with Jeff on budget changes. Right now, we, in terms of on our payable side, we have some challenges with regards to getting the checks out because Canada Post strike, but we've been talking with SMT and with Jeff and looking at different ways that we can try to manage that process. The checks are they're being written. It's just a matter of how do we get them to people. Other than that, everything there for this month is in front of you, and if there's any questions, I will try to answer them.
Okay, well, I just got a comment. I'd just like to thank you and appreciate all your efforts, because I know your department's shorthanded right now, and as we alluded to, getting our budget done in time, but I appreciate all your efforts and doing the best with what you got.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for not pushing the button on this. I never think of it. So.
That room there. Yeah. All right. No questions? Okay. Off to the next report. I don't have the list anymore. I gotta go by the. Is it Kev's? Okay. So, or is it Michelle's tonight? All right. Do you want any highlights you want to speak of?
So as everyone can imagine, I was asked to fill in today for our director as he is away at a conference. You can see in his report the last few weeks at the Civic Center have actually been quite a struggle for the staff. We've had a lot of issues with vandalism, staff harassment, profanity, harassment of our clients that are renting the upper third floor. It is the same group of young individuals who are doing it, so we are currently working with the high school and with the RCMP to try and get this addressed. Because we can't continue to go over on our budget lines and hire security to deal with it, but staff we don't have the levels of staffing that are needed for this particular group. They are quite a large group of students. They have done damage recently. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. There was damage to Rotary done recently as they were seen in the area, but we have nothing that we can document or prove at this point in time. So that is a continue to monitor, but it has taken a lot of staffing hours recently to try to maintain a level of safety for our clients in this facility, keeping it safe for the children that use it as well. Because a lot of what they do is actually race through the building quite quickly. We have it on video of kicking open doors, our side doors, where if there's a child beside that, they're gonna go flying. So there's been a lot with staff in the past few weeks as we're trying to maintain the safety of the facility for, again, staff and users. You'll see in some of our unbudgeted item expenses, anyone who was in the facility in September would have realized how hot it was. It was a very hot September, but it was hotter inside. We did have some equipment break. And as you can see, when that happened, it actually broke a seal that was not anticipated. So Jeremy did take care of that, of course. He did when he ordered it. We now have a backup, so we won't face that situation again. Because, of course, when the heat goes up in the building, our problem is in September as we're trying to build ice for hockey season, and it was hot. So yes, it's over right now, but Jeremy is future planning and doing preventative maintenance on that going forward so we don't face situations like this again. You can see the drilling work for Chocolate Park. I don't know a lot of what is happening with that. I know it is a regular item that they come and do just to ensure everything because of where the park was put on top of an old gas station. And unfortunately, that is outside of our control. We're working with them. We'll continue to put out alertables whenever they notify us that they're going to come, just to keep our patrons safe for the short period of time that they would need in the park. You can see into aquatics. The after-school program has been wonderful as a gap filler for some of the students that lost their ASAP program from the middle school. So starting at 2:40, for anyone who doesn't know, 2:40 p.m. every day, the grades 6 to 8s no longer have any activities to do. That has always been a challenging age group for young people to find things to do because they don't fit into the youth center, the Boys and Girls Youth Center, because that doesn't start till 13 years old. So our aquatics coordinator created this program, which was booked solid and got the funding so that there is now going to continue into the new year for the students. It is completely free of charge for them, and every day it's wonderful to see all these young people coming in to get some exercise and take advantage of that program to, again, fill a gap for that age group that in this time of year it's challenging for that age group. You can see with Jeremy making comments, again, as we all know with our Irishmen that we had lost at the beginning of the season. We've also just recently lost our Thursday, Sunday pickup hockey, which has been going on since the time of Border Arena, but unfortunately, most of the players are getting older and aging out, Mr. Mayor. However, our daytime 50-plus pickup hockey league is growing. So where one side is down, one side is actually increasing. Again, right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'm the oldest guy at the pickup hockey, and they're trying to transfer me over to the older group, but it's at 11 o'clock in the morning. That was the only issue, and they do have a lot more. But I will say the older guys are the ones that stick out. The younger guys all leave early on the nights, so anyway. Yes, and I'm not getting my exercise right now, so anyway, we'll let you carry on. So thanks, Saul, for calling me out.
Included for everyone is a list of our future events that are happening within the events department for the Christmas season. So you can see that it's really it starts to kick off this Friday. It was going to start on the 22nd. We did light up the Walk of Lights as usual. However, we partner with lighting our Walk of Lights with the BIA and Chamber of Commerce. Their event did get postponed due to weather, but they will be joining us on December 6th as part of our nighttime Christmas market in the plaza, and they will be hosting their events with us then, as we also host the Christmas parade that same evening. So we just took the one event and combined it with another to keep it going. We hope everyone can join the Milltown Activities Group starting this Friday. So that will be kind of our really big kickoff to Christmas. Will be their event down at Memorial Park, Milltown Bandstand, starting, as you can see, at 6 p.m. And then we've got a good, fun 2 weeks of Christmas there before Santa actually comes. The final thing is that, of course, we have submitted later on in the report a request for decision regarding the Visitor Information Center. Oh, sorry, yes, the radon kits. I missed the radon kits.
I've been asked again, I'm talking about the Milltown Activities Group for their Christmas thing to supply their hot chocolate. And normally I go out to Tim Hortons and buy the hot chocolate. And we split it. Tim Hortons pays half and I pay the other half. So I just want to make sure council knows that we're doing that for the group. Okay, that's for that night Santa Claus shows up. Okay, sorry.
And everyone, if your children like fire trucks, you might be interested in making sure they're there for 6 p.m. when Santa and Mrs. Claus arrive as well. And our last one, the radon testing. Thank you, Jeff. So with Councillor Greenlaw, he had been working with getting the radon testing kits, and I was asked for assistance in helping with that evening and then monitoring the distribution of the kits thereafter. We are down to about 8 kits left, and they are now available on a first-come, first-served basis. So Those kits can be picked up until this Friday at 5 o'clock at the front desk of the Garcelon Civic Center. And then after that, we will be shipping them back to the company. For anyone that doesn't know what the kits are about and what it's for, there are links on our website and the Municipal District Facebook page that gives some information and links you directly to the Take Action on Radon site. So it can explain why families may want to test these kits and have them in their home and do this test. It's very small, plastic, minimally invasive in your home decor. It is completely safe for animals. It just sits there and collects information for 100 days, in which case you bring it back to us and we ship it for free for you.
I got a question on that. Are we going to be able to get any data from that, and are they being dispersed? I kind of talked to Councilor Greenlaw about this a little bit, but we like dispersed in different areas in the town, so we can kind of maybe if it, let's say, I did it at my place, I could say to my neighbor, hey, Emily, you might want to get yours checked too, right? That kind of thing?
I came in a bit late on this, but that's definitely something I would recommend to this company that's arranged this, because it is a cross-Canada initiative that they're doing. The one thing I found is they did not ask for postal codes. So being a small community, I can tell you if your neighbor's got one. We would know, I can, with privacy, we can't tell you specifically. We do know from the people that have picked them up. It is spread across our community, not just within Ward 2, but Ward 1 and Ward 3 as well. So it has been a good spread, at least. But as for how that company will get it back to us, now they obviously will know that data themselves, because when you sign up online, you have to provide more information to that company. Perhaps Councillor Greenlaw would be able to fill us in, as he was the initial contact with them, about how much information they will be sharing with us.
Or once they get, once they recollect all the detectors, then they'll analyze them and they'll send us the data. And then we'll, anybody that's above a certain level will get a notification if they might have to put mitigation, or they recommend mitigation. But that's what it's pretty much about, is raising the awareness. So I would encourage anybody there that's at the meeting tonight that doesn't have one of these detectors to go get one of those last 8 months and put it in your home. Because some people think I got an old home that's leaky, I'm okay. I got a new home, I got a VinMar system, so I'm okay. And that's not necessarily the case. So that data that will come, St. Andrews did it, they've got their data. And what they did say is that St. Andrews had good results. So they were fairly positive, but it doesn't take much of a change in geographic area to have issues with radon. And radon causes lung cancer. Lung cancer is the second highest cancer in the province of New Brunswick. So we want to make sure we get as many of these out as possible. I want to thank Michelle and her staff, and Tracy at the library for all their help getting that, getting this all done. It's been a bit of a process, and it won't be over for 100 days yet. I did have a couple of questions on on the report, though, if that's possible. On the statement where Jeremy is looking at security systems for the Maxwell Crossing pump house, is that security systems like cameras and alarms, or is that security systems that somebody's going to do patrols? And will it be a competitive process where he's getting the quotes?
Oh, you do that one.
So, we have identified a deficiency, or we're not satisfied with the security we have in place up there, so we are looking at cameras and alarms type scenario, not live person patrolling type. It'll be we'll take a look at how the procurement will work best. If it's over a certain threshold, we have to tender it, and if it's an interoperability with our current system, that could be a factor. So, given how far it is out there, I'm guessing we're not going to be interoperable, but we'll once he figures out where we want to go, and once council decides if they're going to fund it with budget, we'll worry about the procurement strategy after that.
Thank you very much.
Is that you had another one, or that was it?
Well, the other one, just on the cancellation of the hockey, I'm assuming that was a financial decision, that that we were actually losing money by keeping the ice time going.
Actually, the league runs privately, so they rented the ice from us. But yes, on their part, it was a financial decision. Is that They just didn't have enough players to pay for their ice rentals anymore.
I didn't realize you're talking about my club. So it's not just finances, actually. We could have increased the amount, but being my age, playing 4-on-4, and a lot of young fellows coming out there, that's a lot of ice. So and no one to give you a break. So, so it's money and that. Anyway, well, I didn't realize you're talking about that hockey club. Yeah. So now I just got another comment, just more or less for the public. You say there's 8 left. I've been kind of waiting. If there is any left, I hope the public takes them. But if we get down to the point there, like I said, just so hurry up and get them, because if you don't, I'm going to take one. Yeah. All right. Okay. Any questions? Oh, sorry, Councilor Otis.
I'm just wondering, in terms of the relationship with the high school and the youth who've been doing some vandalism, I would love to see a way that, you know, those youth can obviously still have access to the center somehow, in the sense that from a trauma-informed lens, that is crime prevention, like taking these kids and molding them a little bit. I was wondering if what we have as far as a policy, like, do we have a policy in place about the steps to come back from vandalism of one of our municipal sites? Because something I was thinking of is, I'm kind of a bit old school this way, but sometimes just even students sitting with a counselor or a mayor for a few minutes and actually giving a list of all the little scuffs on the walls in the center that need to be tackled. I think that it would be really nice to see some of these kids have an opportunity to potentially earn their way back in, depending on the different level of crime that's happening. Because I have spoken with a couple individuals, parents of children who have been told they can't come back based on the level of what they've done, which I completely understand. But I think it's tricky because there's different levels of crime. There's like running through and causing a disturbance, then there's like yelling and swearing, and then there's also volatile physical behavior. So I wondered about that, if we have a policy, depending on what level of the issue and how we approach those students, just so that we don't actually block them access from like using the gym or swimming or things like that, because ultimately in the end we want them to be adults who have access to the types of mentors that can help coach them out of that behavior. If that makes sense.
Actually, all of our letters, if the parents have received them from the students, so our hands are tied in some cases because of privacy. So part of what the collaboration with the school has been is getting permission from higher ups in the school board if they can work with us to deliver the letters on our behalf, because we don't have that contact information. So how it works currently with the students is, obviously we tell them verbally there are letters. If we know where they live or we have them in our system, they do get hand delivered, those exclusion letters. Within the exclusion letters is actually instructions and information on how the students can return. And the first step of that is to contact Kev for a meeting with the student, the parent, and Kev. So it is clearly laid out in there what the children can do to get back into the facility. So we have had students excluded that, again, we had a parent with one come today as well, even. So with the parents, I would suggest that they ask their children for the letters or wait to receive, if it's the ones recently, all the rest have been delivered. Anything before this past 2 weeks has been delivered. So whether to their home and the children got it from the mailbox before they got it and didn't share it. However, we would always encourage them to please reach out to our director, Mr. Sumner, because that is the starting point for everything. That's what we want. We want a discussion with the child and the parent. We understand the importance as well.
Councilor Harding?
Thank you, Your Worship. Is there a limit to, for example, if tomorrow a child comes in and does something that they are put out for, is there a limit for that? If they just keep coming back and doing the same thing, do they eventually get turfed forever?
I would say that would be more for Kev. However, that's not happened yet because our letters all state that they need to reach out and discuss us. It does say, indefinitely until you do this, which is, steps A, get in contact with Kev with the letter, with your parents signing it, and we need to meet. We've not reached the point in my 8.5 years here that we've had to go forever. Some people, their parents have never come in with them. Yeah, and so as this continues to happen, I'd say we'd have to investigate that, but that would be maybe a question next month for Kev. We just haven't come across a forever.
Councilor Rodas?
I'm just really volunteering myself. Like, I've worked at the high school quite a bit. I've worked with all these high-risk youth, so I'm more than happy even if there's ever a time where Krista Amos would like to have a meeting with a group of students to just generally talk as a counselor, to say, like, we are ultimately here to mentor and support youth to have access to this facility, and although there are limits, there are certainly ways they can overcome that. I'm just thinking about students that don't have that parental support, and I know most kids these days have a really it takes a lot to be able to even speak to somebody when you're so used to being on your phone all the time. It's pretty overwhelming to set up a meeting, but I love that you're working with the school, because that provides a bit of a warm handoff, right? Because they could go to the principal and say, I know the Civic Center brought a letter here that needs to go to my parents and I'm stressed about it, and then there can be a bit of a warm handoff. But I'm happy to, if there are any youth who would like to sit down and meet and kind of have some mentorship, I'm happy to do that as well. I think it's really important. I think this facility is probably the #1 crime prevention resource that we have in this community when it comes to youth, if you think about it. So it's great that you're working to find a way with these kids to have them come back. But I agree with Councillor Harding. There definitely is a limit, and sometimes it can be so volatile that if you don't have the staffing, I think that's probably something we'd have to strategize about to give you the resources that you need. Because I'm not sure what you would do right now. If it's not a crime under the criminal code, it's pretty challenging to kind of mitigate those risks.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Cornish.
Just a different subject altogether. I talked to you.
Okay, do you want to just pause on that?
Yeah, I can pause.
Let Michelle reply.
I was going to say, thank you, Councillor Rodas. I'll make sure that offer is presented to the school, to Ms. Amos and Mr. Harris.
I spoke to you earlier this evening. I think that Michelle and her team definitely need a lot of praise for the park across the street here. I've been down there several times, actually, and it's phenomenal. That is one beautiful job, and I congratulate you and your teams. I know that you did a good job, and I know you've got quite a crew, so thanks again. You did a good job.
Definitely the brainchild of Pamela Williams. She does a phenomenal job with the decorating in the Garcelon Civic Center, and we love the Walk of Lights. I'm so glad that we went that way during COVID and stopped cutting down trees and did that instead. So please, when you're approving the budget line, please remember that. There's a lovely line, Christmas lights.
Yeah, no, it definitely is good. It's a good compliment. I've heard many of those compliments too. And yeah, go ahead, Councilor Cornish.
And come to Mayfield next week to finish off Jennifer's place.
Oh, I drove by there. That's a lot of lights. You got a lot of competition out there. Yeah. So on that note, you two need to let LaPro, well, no, LaPro's not putting out power right now. Let MB Power know that you're turning those lights on, or you turn them on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that is, we got Alex's report. Sorry, the MDS planning report.
So the report from Mr. Henderson is there for your review. Alex certainly is spending a fair bit of his time working our public engagement on our municipal plan. A couple open houses. We had a private session with representation from the chamber yesterday. Really good conversation with them to talk about mainly downtown issues and business owner issues. So we were taking that feedback into our system and trying to keep that dialogue going. But otherwise, his standard report is there for your review, and if there's any questions, this one I definitely will pass on to him because I don't have access to his data.
Okay, I just got a comment. Well, he's not here. I'd like to thank him and Xander for their planning meetings they've been doing with the citizens in the different wards. And we got it, and I think it's really important to get people out there and hear what's going on and share your concerns, because in the end of the day, this council before you right now is going to make those decisions, and I really want to hear everything and before we make those decisions. So there's been 2. The next one's tomorrow night, right here in the municipal district or in the Garrison Civic Center here. So yeah, and it doesn't matter which ward you're from. You can go to this one here. It's all the same meeting. We've just been trying to get out into the rural areas. But again, I'd like to see the attendance there. I've been to the other 2 tomorrow night, and I've got 3 meetings scheduled. So I don't know how I'm going to pull this off tomorrow night. But I got my regional meeting. It's all at the same time. So I'm going to try to get to this one too, because I think it's important as well, just to see what the citizens are up to and hear their concerns as well from my own point of view. So yeah, so if anyone's listening out there, that meeting's tomorrow night. Get to the meeting, and if you want to, I mean, of course. Yeah.
The time, Alan.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, and it's a good meeting. Yeah. All right, Councilor Otis.
I know Alex isn't here, but maybe you can answer it, Jeff. I see here that 9 Main Street, where the shelter is going, I've had a lot of questions in community about how that is zoned. People have some insecurity about us passing zoning or changing zoning without their knowledge. So if you could just explain, how would that have previously been zoned as a Masonic hall? And is it zoned nonprofit? What is the language there? And it's just a simple question really about zoning, just to confirm for the community.
Sure. Certainly questions that I've received as well since the announcement, and it's zoned institutional. It always has been. And institutional has a fairly wide scope into what can go in there, with a few conditions on the bottom. So in a situation like this, our people can look it up. It's the International Institutional Zone in the bylaw that's on our website. If you read through it, you'll see that it can be, there's certain things like it has to have on-site services. There's a few conditions that go into an operation like this. So when Alex and his team are interpreting the application, that's what they have to go through, and they have a rationale. They go step by step through their process. One of the things I pointed out to some citizens too is at the time when I was talking to them that the permits hadn't been issued, is once the permits are posted, citizens can appeal that. There is a process where if you don't believe that the bylaw was applied properly or what have you, there is a process for that, and the folks over at the RSC can get you the forms and all that stuff for that. But one of the first things when I got word from the government where it was going, that was my question to Alex too, was talk to me about zoning, and he gave me a very long legalistic explanation of the rationale about how they apply the rules, so that I could gain some understanding. But in short, it is an approved use based on the operational model that's being suggested, and at this time. And so, as an approved use, it gets permitted. You get by right permit. So, yeah.
No, okay. All right. Any more questions on the MDSS planning report? Okay. All right. That's the end of the reports. And next up is. Oh. Thank you for the reminder. I had the mover, I had the seconder, I got no more questions. All those in favor accepting all the departmental reports?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you. All right, next up is public comment period. Thanks, Chandra.
Ward 3. I would like to comment on, I think, well, actually 3 things, but I just wanted to note that I think tomorrow there's also a Zoom meeting at noon for the municipal plan. So I'm scheduled for that one, which is why. So that, if anyone can't make it in person, then tomorrow at noon is online. But I think you have to register in advance for them to give you all the, the call-in stuff. Okay, so 3 things I'd like to comment on. First of all, I did want to thank a lot of the people in this room actually, who I've been in touch with this week, regarding the agenda, around a couple of items that I had questions on. I had replies back from the mayor and from some of the other folks, Joyce. Michelle's been really helpful here, and Kev. So I really want to express my thanks for that. There's still, of course, a few things outstanding that I'm sure I'll either hear tonight or that I'll get a follow-up on. And on that note, I just wanted to make a comment around the change to the agenda, and the fact that the public comment period is now a comment period and not a question and comment period. I feel like this is a little bit premature to make a change to the agenda that way. And the reason I feel that is because my understanding from the last meeting was that our CAO was going to come back with an approach that could be taken on how to handle the meeting and the whole public comment question period and this and that. And so that hasn't happened. The procedural bylaw, of course, hasn't happened, and we don't have any information around how someone can actually submit a question. Even though it may be general knowledge for some of us who come and participate a lot, I think there's probably a lot of people who don't know, and so I think that that the order chronologically of events is inappropriate, that the agenda should not have been changed. So that's just my opinion. But that said, anyone who has a comment or a question for council, I encourage you to just send an email, call. A lot of phone numbers are available. I have never had any trouble emailing and getting a reply back and meeting with council. So there are ways to go about it, and just for people just to go ahead and do it and don't wait until this forum. The next thing I wanted to comment on was I wanted to kind of go to, not to Heather's report per se, but the question that Emily asked about it, and basically asking for a bit of background information. I think that one thing that the people here, and I know for me personally, could really benefit from is if council and if, I guess, staff, although I know, anyways, I don't want to be inappropriate or whatever, would think about the audience, which is citizens, and the fact that we need to be brought along, that we don't know the background. Some of us are brand new to the area. Some of us are brand new to actually caring. Yesterday someone might not have cared, and then today they did, and they might have looked at the agenda, showed up, and have no idea what's going on. So my recommendation to council would be to ask for information that's included in the agenda packages to be thorough enough that they bring people along. The audience doesn't know, we want to know, and assume that we know nothing and that you're going to tell us everything. I think that's probably the best approach. And that would help me a lot, and it would save me a lot of time, because I do spend a lot of time trying to research to find out information, and I wouldn't need to do that if it was just presented up front. So that to me would be helpful. And then the last thing I wanted to comment on is the bylaw 0323-1 amendments to council remuneration, which I know that is going to be second and third reading tonight. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I certainly haven't landed on what I personally think is the best way to go. At first, I thought it was no big deal. Yes, you're spending a ton of time. You have a big responsibility as an elected official in the town, in the municipal district, and you all bring certain, not you per se, I don't want to speak to you, because I know that this would apply, next year going forward, so council in general brings a lot of skills and different skill set, different mindset, backgrounds to the table. And so I don't think that I wouldn't want to negate that in any way, that needs to be recognized, especially when we know that there aren't a lot of people who are willing to step up, to volunteer, to try to be elected and to, do this job. So having said all of that, I was thinking about what former Mayor Bob Brown said the last time he was here at the last meeting, and I kind of agree that having sort of an automated increase in the remuneration just by the fact that it's the first of the year, I think that does set an unrealistic expectation and sort of an attitude of entitlement. And the reason I say that is number one, council members are not unionized. And that's the kind of thing that unionized employees have, is that it's just an automatic increase to your remuneration. Sometimes that's tied to performance. It should be always tied to performance, but my experience of 35 years in the public service is that sometimes it doesn't come with a performance evaluation. I also wanted to note that within the document that we see now, it has no requirement for any kind of a review process. It has no requirement for any type of a performance, not even if you look at the procedure bylaw or the code of conduct, there's no requirements around how many meetings a person has to attend, how many functions a person has to participate in, how many customers or citizens or taxpayers that you need to speak to or help. There's no measure around how your residents feel about, are they satisfied with what's going on in the municipal district? So I think that there's an opportunity to do better than just an annual increase. Now I did look at some other jurisdictions around here, Grand Falls, Woodstock, St. Andrews, a few other ones. I've left my list over there. And all but one do have what you're proposing to put this annual increase in. And some of them also have additional ways of compensating, like paying by the hour for functions that you might attend. So obviously it's out there, and if this was only a quick and dirty look that I performed, so there's probably more widespread across the province. That said, I don't necessarily think that that's the right way to go. So I think that if we every year automatically there's going to be an increase in the remuneration that would be approximately $5,000 every year that the budget would go up. And what I would expect to see as a resident and a taxpayer is value for that money. And the only way that I can see value is if there's a report card or there's some kind of expectations that have been set. I also understand that you could be looking at a bureaucratic nightmare to try and sit down and figure out how this could be done. So I understand that and I appreciate it. But I also think that it's not as simple as what we might think it is or what people might think it is. And for that reason, I would recommend or ask that council not vote tonight at all and just table it, or to vote not to proceed until something else can happen, till some kind of maybe consultation with your citizens can occur, or something that satisfies people a bit better, because I already understand from just people that I'm talking to that people don't think it's the way to go. So I think I said everything that I want to. So, oh, and I just wanted to also mention that you could also, if you did proceed, make some amendments to at least make a cap to the amount of increase, or make some requirements around how you would, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself, evaluate council. And the other thing I was thinking about is that if you have an annual increase, that would mean to say that the first year that someone sits here, the first year after, they barely have their sea legs and they're automatically getting an increase. And so that doesn't seem right either. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that, but I just really felt that I needed to express my concerns about this, especially in the fact that it's, again, taxpayer dollars that all goes into this, and if you increase $5,000 per year, where does that get offset so that, you know, we're not continually pushing our budget up? Thank you.
Okay. And, well, the 10 minutes are up now. No. Okay.
That's okay. Mr. Mayor. David Whittingham, Ward 2 from St. Stephen. Just a couple of comments. Looking through the reports that were attached to the agenda for the bylaw officers report and to some degree the buildings inspectors, there's some numbers there, but there's very little information. Like when you look at it, it doesn't, when I look at it as a resident, particularly the bylaw office, it doesn't tell me very much about what has gone on. There's a bunch of numbers for different categories of what we're dealt with, but there's no sort of descriptors. As an example, under the question I would have regarding the building inspector was it mentions that under the dangerous and unsightly premises that there's, I forget, 5 or 6 properties. Are those, and I've asked this before, are these the same 5 properties or 6 properties from previous month? And whereabouts along the line of process are these properties? Obviously, we can't say what properties they are because of privacy and such like, and we don't want to jeopardize the whole process by identifying properties. But I certainly, as a resident, would like to see more descriptive information provided by the bylaw officer in particular. I would like to make a comment. When I read through Chief Morton's report that he attended the wildfire conference up in Fredericton, I thought that was great. I was surprised that he was the only, I think, municipal chief there, and kudos to him for attending it. One other comment, and it's related to the bylaws, and it's not specifically the bylaw you're going to be voting on tonight regarding remuneration, but I think in the past when I've been there, it's often bylaw number 0323-1, and then you vote on it, and it's not often said what that bylaw is about. Not the whole descriptor, but even identifying it by title, so that those in attendance here or at home know in fact what you're voting on. I know procedure, there's a first reading, there's a second reading, there's a third and final reading. Why are the 2 readings, the second and third, happening on the same? What's the point of having these levels of readings if 2 of them, the second and third, with the third being the final, are going to happen on the same day? Thanks very much.
Points noted, David. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next. I'm sorry, I didn't. Sure. Just one more quick one, please. No. I just. Yeah.
My name is Robert Frawley. I have 2 properties here in the town. I was brought up here and I moved away and I came back. I'm not here to cause a whole bunch of grief. I just have a couple of comments because there is no questions. This is not Chinese democracy. If I say something that's out of turn and I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. I'm not about feelings. I'm about reality. So if you were sitting over here in the gallery as opposed to being a counselor, you could probably understand my concern. I don't know who came up with the 10-minute brief thing. I know that you were not going to have enough time to get your hockey gear on and get out there with the boys, so that's out of the question. Now, that being said, 2 things. One, I don't believe in a 10-minute Chinese democracy or a comment session. If this is a council and this is a town, well, now we're a municipal district, that everybody should have the right in this town to have as long as they want to make a point. The reason why I'm here is regarding neighborhood works. I am not against what you're trying to propose or what's been proposed. The location is quite questionable to me. I don't believe anybody else in this room's ever been homeless, but I have. So I'm 100% in favor of what the strategy is. I don't understand why before last year in December, on December 8th, there was a breaking news and there was a press release put out when the actual 24/7 shelter was on Union Street. But this time it wasn't put out. And my concern is the location is, you've got a university there. There's businesses there. There's 14 businesses right down beside it, down the hill. I'm also a Freemason, so if that puts you out, I'm sorry about that. I can throw that in there because we no longer have a Freemasons Hall there. But that's fine. Okay? The reason why I'm bringing it to concern is we also have a curling club just down the street. It's in a residential area, even though it is, because I did do my information. It is a institutional zoning, which is fine. But the problem being, down over the hill, you have young children going into a youth center area. You have a newly formed women's, it's not a shelter, but it's a women's group over in the university. You have a foot care clinic over in the university. You have another business that these people are going to be affected by this. And I'll explain why. The majority of the people that are going to go and that are women, and I have 4 older sisters, that are being helped by these people are going to be intimidated by the people that are homeless because it's a stigma that comes along with it. If you've never been there, you don't understand what circumstances can put a person into that venue. I'm going to be brief. I realize everybody's looking at me like I've got a third eye in the middle of my forehead, but I'm a Spartan. We like to fight. There should be more consideration. I'm not against what the purpose is. I'm kind of against the location and the way that it was preceded and put out there. There was no press release. Nobody went around to each individual business to say, look, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? Now, I know that if it was put in your backyard, you probably wouldn't like it. If it was put in your backyard, you wouldn't like it. And I'm looking at it's not a personal thing. It's overall for the community, in the community at large. I don't believe it's probably the proper place to put it. I know at one point it was going to be put out the highway, and those people that had businesses out there didn't want it, and they were given an opportunity and a choice. This is not being given as a choice if you don't tell somebody, okay? And I know that how zoning goes. If I decide I'm going to put a garage on one of my properties here in the town, before I do it, I have to go to the town and ask, get a building permit. Okay, this building's already in its location. The problem is the amount of people it's going to affect without any consideration even given to it about the location. You're in the core of the downtown. That's right downtown. How is it going to affect the businesses when people are going to be afraid? There's not one woman in here. If I said you saw a homeless guy, you're terrified. I grew up here as a kid. We used to run up and down the streets. People, this town was full. Alan, you were here. Everybody, we're all here, okay? That dynamic has to come back to this town. I don't believe by putting the homeless shelter and where you have people that need mental health services. We don't need drug addiction services, and we do need to help the homeless people fix the mental health. Everything else will trickle down. That's my comment. I don't know if I can go anywhere else with it because I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm the only one that's going to say anything. It's my first time coming to council meeting. I will be back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hold on. Is anyone else going to go?
All I'm going to ask is that you please listen to this man because this is not good. What's going on in the middle of a residential area, there's a middle school, you know, all the businesses, all the residents, the older people that are afraid and are really frightened.
We do hear you. Thank you. And then I know this is comment period, but this is a hot topic, and I just want to give my 2 cents here to everyone. And this is a fact. Not that I'm for or against what we need to do. I know we do have to work at this as a community and bring it back. I 100% agree with that. But to defend council and myself, we were not part of that process. They come in, I was surprised they bought that because I still thought it was going to the other location that I thought it was last year, or not last year, 2 years ago. That's where I was, and I heard Friday, and I had to hold on to that till Monday to tell council, and we told council 2 hours before they announced. That's just how it is, because they didn't have to come to us because it's zoning. It was okay. They literally purchased it and did their thing, and that's all. They have asked council to support them in whatever they do. We tried to find them property to fit that, whatever the perfect spot, if there is such a thing. But that's it. I mean, we're not part of that process at all. We need to support.
As a point of information, Alan, on that, I didn't say it as an attack.
Oh, no, but I want to take the opportunity. Oh, no, I just want to share.
It's a general knowledge thing that,
Yeah.
put a press release out and explain this, because there are people that still don't know in this 8,000 population, and I guarantee you, other than myself and probably that lady and this lady and this gentleman, for those that don't know, need to know.
No, that's why I just shared what I shared, and then, yeah.
Again, it's not an attack on council.
Yeah, no.
And unfortunately, when it all falls down, because we have a trickle-down effect of everything, guess who's going to come to?
Yep, the ones that answer the phones. And yeah, but again, I do agree. I want to get back to those days. But anyway, and I'm open to talk anytime to anybody. All right, let's. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So and we were guided to any information you want from that to contact Neighborhood Works, and I think they put a release out yesterday explaining some of the questions people are asking, and the province on that as well, and your concerns. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Okay, so we are where? Reports. I need a mover and seconder to move into the information report for the Future St. Stephen Economic Development Report.
So moved.
Councilor Harding, Councilor Rodas.
Okay. So the biggest thing we're working on right now is we're going through and reviewing kind of our strategic priorities. Obviously, a lot's changed. Previous long-term report was done kind of up until the 2024 timeline. So we're taking a look at, are there focus areas that are new areas that we need to look at? Are there ones that are currently being covered off, for example, by as the RSC and with amalgamation? Are there certain areas there? And a big part of that as well is we're going to be starting up our search again for a president for the organization. So we'll be releasing the job description, an updated one, in the next little bit to get that process started. We'd like to have that person in place for within the new year, whether that's someone locally, someone in New Brunswick, but we want to make sure we have the right candidate to kind of really hit the ground running and push through some various projects. Main things that we've been focusing on are kind of conversations around that, a few follow-up conversations on some areas like with the CARI group related to transportation, with the RSC, and just kind of connecting some dots. Had a great conversation with Jeff, as well as the mayor in our board meetings, just again around those areas. And I would just say we're very open, as we've talked before, chatted with some councillors before. If there's particular areas, we'll also be working with the Chamber and BIA with everything they do and all the information that they provide for kind of those focus areas as well.
Thank you, Genevieve. Councilor Rodas.
Hi, I had somebody I've been speaking to just inquiring about potentially doing like a seniors development and then accessing money from MB Housing Corporation. So I wondered if, in terms of economic development, does Future St. Stephen, can they support somebody who is looking to navigate that process of accessing private development funding through GNB for those types of projects?
Yep, so we do. We work with developers, and then we make the connections to the right individuals. So sometimes that's with Xander and Alex. Sometimes that's working with Jeff to get the information. So we can be that kind of funnel to make sure the right people get involved. Usually most development projects are a combination of all of us finding the right connections for it overall, but certainly we can, yeah.
All right. Thank you. No more questions? All those in favor of accepting the future St. Stephen Economic Development Report? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next up is, I need a mover and seconder for bylaw 03-23-1, a bylaw to amend bylaw 03-23 for the second reading. Yeah, I need a mover and seconder.
So moved.
Council Wright, Council Rodas.
Your Worship, we'll read this one read in entirety, please.
Okay. You got it right? Yeah, here, I'll steal that from you. Okay. Whereas Council for the Municipal District of St. Stephen is desirous to amend certain provisions within the bylaw 03-23, the bylaw to respecting the remuneration of council for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I gotta make this bigger. Just like. The council be enacted that by the council for the Municipal District of St. Stephen as follows. Number 1, bylaw number 03-23, the bylaw respecting the remuneration of council for the Municipal District of St. Stephen, enacted on the 9th day of December 2022. Together with all amendments thereto, is hereby amended by adding sections 1.04, 1.05, and 1.06 as follows. 1.04, annually, the rates of remuneration shall be adjusted for the changes in the cost of living by applying the percentage in the Consumer Price Index for January of the previous year compared to January of the current year. The province of New Brunswick, as prepared by Statistics Canada, such adjustments shall be calculated by the Treasurer and reviewed by the Chief Administrative Officer prior to application. New rates shall be rounded to the nearest dollar. The event that Consumer Price Index should fall below 0, remuneration rates shall remain the previous level. Members of council shall be entitled to reimbursement of legitimate expenses incurred as a result of their duties as office holders of the municipality in accordance with the subsistence and travel expense and allowances policy. He's really testing me tonight. Where any member of council does not serve a full 12-month term, remuneration shall be prorated for the time served based upon the day of departure. In witness whereof the Municipal District of St. Stephen is caused, oh, I don't need to read that. Okay, that's part of signing it and dating it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the reminder. So, we presented the bylaw for the second reading. I had a mover, I had a seconder. Now I'm asking for a vote. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, any questions of council? Sorry. Or comments? Council Wright?
Thank you, Mayor. Just for the sake of clarity, could you explain again, for those who may have missed it, how the rates for this current council were set? And then I will ask for follow-up to make a comment.
Okay, you talking to me or okay.
Either.
That does. So yeah, the rates, not counting the increase that we're talking about here tonight, they are brought in with the amalgamation through the facilitator, transition facilitator, and they did all the municipalities in the whole province based on services provided, population, all the what. When I say services, like if you got fire, you have police, you have recreation, all the different types of things that you operate. So your responsibilities, more or less. So the more responsibilities you have, the more the rate was, and that's how they based their numbers across the province. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Any more questions? Councilor Rodas?
Well, I know, I can be a bit torn with this as well, because I know that when the transition facilitator would have set this, they would have no idea what this role entails when it comes to amalgamation. So for me too, I'm thinking about the fact that for future councils, I mean, this has been a huge adjustment and change for us coming into a newly amalgamated community, but for future councils too, who are watching kind of the heat, it is going to be challenging to find people to return to this table and sit at this table long term. So I do understand that there's an incentive piece there as well, but I just wanted to publicly say to Chandra that I appreciated your insight, as a citizen to this, and I think there are a couple sides to it. It's a challenge, right? We want to also recruit people for the future and give them a reason, some sort of incentive to come sit at this table, because I can speak from experience, it's got its highs and lows, let's just say.
I'm just going to, Councilor Harding. Sorry.
Thank you. I've been sitting here for 20 years, and I got my feelings hurt tonight. I don't think that if you're going to judge on what the little bit of rate that we're going to get at the first of the year or whenever, I think it's a cost of living raise. And I can't wait, because in the next month, I'm going to get a letter from my pension telling me that my cost of living is going up 4.8 to 5.8. Anyway, I don't think that we're making too much money. I think that we come in, we do a job. I know at my house, my phone rings and my doorbell rings 24/7. And I know that the mayor must be worked right off his feet, because anytime I try to get him, he's at a meeting, he'll call me back. So anyway, I really take offense to what's been said here tonight about money, because the little bit of money that we get, which to me is nothing, it's just absolutely disgusting to be admonishing us like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I will make a couple of points. My rationale for supporting this would be that we have all seen cases as citizens where our MLAs or our MPs have had to sit and vote themselves a raise because theirs has stayed here for 15 years and it's no longer worthwhile for anybody to think about giving up their day job to do this, to serve the public. Now, in our case, we don't have to give up our day job. Some of us still work full-time and do this on the side. So what the premise for me is setting a good foundation for future councils so that no future council, which could be any one of the citizens sitting here watching us tonight or in the audience with us tonight, or maybe their family members, none of them have to be in the awkward position in 10 or 15 years of saying, this is not worth it to me, I'm not going to run, or we have to vote ourselves a raise to cover the amount of work involved, or the as Emily said, the challenges that come with it. Not being welcome sometimes places, or whatever the case may be. So and I'm not saying that to make a sob story, I'm just stating it's a reality. It has its challenges when you're involved in a position like this. So we, in my opinion, are setting a good foundation so that future councils never have to be in that awkward position of sitting and voting themselves a huge raise. And also, this is not a performance metric. Our performance metric is when we're voted on. And in 18 months, it could be that none of the 9 of us sitting around this table even run for re-election. It could be that if we run, we're not reelected. So it's not really about us. And to that point, I would say, I would even suggest I would be comfortable with amending it so that the stipend increases for cost of living don't start until after the next election, because it's not about me. It's about setting a good foundation for future councils. It's a cost of living increase, not a performance metric. We bring all kinds of talent and diversity to the table. And so while one councillor may be able to be involved in something else, another councillor has involvement in something else. And are we going to do a year's worth of consultation, and who do we talk to? The citizens, the staff, because they may have vastly different opinions, because what you see here at this council meeting may not reflect what's actually happening behind the scenes. So I would just say that it's a cost of living increase. I know at my day job, my employer is very kind, and every January we get a modest cost of living increase because our expenses as citizens go up. So that it's not based on my performance. If I get a performance bonus, that's something completely different. We do the same for the town staff. There's annual increases, some are union, some are not. This is a cost of living increase to keep council in pace with what is happening in the larger society, only a cost of living increase, so that they never have to be in a position in 10 years of voting themselves a raise. And we hope that will benefit some of our other citizens who want to serve in the future. So for me, that's what this is about. And I would like it separated from the discussion of performance increases. It's not about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because with that comment period and we can't interact, I get that. I don't get that. I find it very uncomfortable. But anyway, exactly what Joyce was just saying. It's the performance base is based. Election time will say it all, actually, and yeah, and yep.
Yep, you can call me Brian. The bottom line for the people that's online or whatever, Earl, myself, Wade, the mayor, town manager, CHCO, and others were part of this thing for a solid year before we become a municipality. And it was a fun adventure, trust me. The guy on the other end of the line, Jeff's looking at me, we know what the first day we even started out at. Provincial representative, it was transition, yeah, thank you. Opening statement, day one. This is going down with you or without you. You remember that? I said, could you be a little more precise? Well, that was one hell of a year. Boundary lines, CAO conferments, even down to the point where what councillor is going to be paid. Coming into council, it was almost perceived that you're going to come to this council meeting once a month, you're going to sit around, we're going to jaw about stuff. No. We've run strategic planning sessions behind the scenes. We have cow meetings every month. We have this meeting every month. It's not a 2-hour meeting at either one of them. We've inherited things that we're not even going to, excuse me, I'm Ward 1. They're Ward 3 up there, and Ward 1 over there. We haven't touched the rural areas yet, period. What's coming at us now? It may be a surprise, it may come tomorrow, it may not be for 5 years. But what's coming at us, we've got a hell of a lot of work to do. And I'm looking around the ladies and gentlemen around this room, and there's a lot of work behind this. I feel sorry for the mayor. Him and I get at it. We've had fights and everything else behind the scenes. We actually wear the same clothing tonight, actually. He's trying to keep up with the older generation, even though we... Anyway, the bottom line is, I know that the people around this room, everything from representing whatever it happens to be, we get phone calls, Mark's right. We do get phone calls at home. I get people driving down the driveway, Earl's waving his head, right. The gentleman up there on the screen, I think he's still with us, is probably one of the most active ones out there. He's into everything. I'm sure he's sitting there tonight, probably part of this operation. Down in his notes of his meetings, he's supposed to attend a couple of meetings this week. He can't do it. He's representing the province. In addition to that, he's also the vice chair of the, I want to say UNB, but it's not. Thank you. I have a hard time with that. But we have a union now that represents 93% of the province. And I'm impressed. I've been at 2 of them. We spend 3 days, and it's in depth. And I'm going to tell you a little story. Around the province right now, when you attend these meetings, there was 200 of us at the last one. You'll be lucky to have any councillor coming back. And that was made quite to the point. People are taking a hell of a lot of flack, trying to do the best they can with what the resources they have. We inherited, I didn't believe coming into this, I thought that we'd be dealing with potholes, sidewalks, and other things. We're dealing with the same thing the rest of the world's dealing with. We're dealing with homelessness and everything else. Last night I was coming down the street with my wife. I don't think they're much more than 10 or 12 years old, doing wheelies in the front street. Well, the RCMP are doing the best they can. You call them, they chase them. The RCMP this week released a report to us. I don't think it's secret. They're chasing them down. They're using undercover cars because the kids see the blue and reds. They go. You chase them. They get killed. You're going to pick up the tab for it. And it's very sad what's going on. We deal with that every day. We get phone calls. I had a lady, and she's in the audience tonight, and I'm not going to point her out. She called me about a week ago. Some people moved in next door. people who moved to the next door. I call it whack-a-mole. We got a whack-a-mole society here. We shut down a building, we saved it, we boarded it up, and hopefully it's going to be sold and built an apartment building. We did the right move. But it didn't take 5 minutes to look at that. We've been working at it. I compliment him, and I get into it too. Deputy, different times, we've had our things, but we had a good conversation last week. He was on it. We shut down a building. 2 of the people in the building were actually homeless. The other ones, the definition of homeless can be quite broad. It probably goes over the other side of the where they're actually using drugs and using it heavy. So they were in this building, 6 or 8 of them, living in it, no water, no service, no lights, a couple of generators. As soon as we closed that building, and I said to them that night, I remember saying it to the fire chief, that plywood better be thick, because they know how to screw it off, they know how to get into it. Well, they left. And the lady that called me, and I chased it for her, and I appreciated her calling me because hopefully she trusts in our decisions, and I talked to the fire chief, he's a safety officer also, and these were the same people that we just closed out of the other building not that far away. So as we pushed down on the thing, when you went to the little things that might be dating myself, it was called whack-a-mole. You used to have a hammer, you hit them, they went down, and another one popped up here, and you hit it here, and that's what's happened in our community. And if you talk to the RCMP, I'm asked to talk to some of the fellows, like meet with them quite often, the bottom line is, trying to follow them, they told me, and I'm sure it's accurate, that these people move every 3 hours. So try to follow them. We don't know lots of places where they're staying with buddies in the room. The bottom line is, this council, I'm going to defend it tonight. Sometimes I don't. I get hard on the guys and girls, and hard on me too. But I don't know where you'd get anybody else to do the work that they're doing. It's not a 1 month thing. It's hours a week. It's meetings a week. And the other thing is, just to give you a heads up, we make $17,000 a year. Mr. Trudeau is getting over half it from me. And the rest of us. Anybody that's on a pension or anybody's working, when you put that on the top of it, your income tax just goes poof. So if you're going to make yourself $7,000 a year, anybody's out there in the audience, come on board. Because it's one hell of a lot poor salary for what we have to do and what these guys and ladies and gentlemen are doing. That's all I'm going to say. I know that a lot of people out there think the council can pick it up. Some of these decisions, we declared a state of emergency, first one in the province last year of the homeless. And I'm looking at people out there that we've talked to for 3 and 4 years. We did everything we could. We tried to get it installed. We tried to put it in a place where it's the most inconvenient or convenient. We failed, but it wasn't us. The provincial government controls a lot of the activities that you think that we do. We don't. And if those bylaws are out there made for this town and they're imposed by the provincial government, you're out of luck. We do the best we can with the tools we got. So the bottom line is, the other thing is to keep in mind, 50% or more of your councillors across Canada are retired. We're not getting any new blood in here because, 1, it doesn't pay enough. 2, the government takes the rest of it, and we have to put up with a heck of a lot of insults, crap, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, Marg. Marg's sometimes hard, she gets to the point, but anyway. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say tonight. I know you people think that, yeah, if you want to put measurements on us, please do. When I'm filling out my reports, and I'm sure you guys too, trying to think of all the things you need. You have to write it down on your calendar to remember where you were the day before. So the bottom line, I'm going to shut up and get out of here. The bottom line is, I feel these people around this table are doing a heck of a job with the situations that we have currently. And we got a lot on our plate, and hopefully next year we're going to see some great things happening, but we can't even talk about them tonight. Thank you.
Brian, or yeah, Councilor Cornish? No, seriously, normally you're going on, I'd try to stop you, but that did not need to be stopped tonight, is what my point is. That was very well said. We got some tough situations going on here, as I was said by Frawley. Yeah, like we're doing the best we can. And there's going to be things coming down the road that are going to help alleviate this stress off us, but we just got to get through this. And none of this group, and Councillor Cornish is correct, every council member in this room is doing their job. And if I had to evaluate them, they would have good evaluations. And I'm starting to get emotional, so I'm going to stop talking and let Joyce take it, but the work is being done. Anyway, Councillor Wright, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make one last comment of examples. The citizen mentioned other municipalities that have this automatic cost of living factor put in, and I just want to mention that it goes beyond councils. That is in there for even the minimum wage gets an annual increase based on, and most government benefits to citizens do as well. So this is just in keeping with that principle.
Councillor Rodas, this will be the last question we're going to.
Last one. I'll say when I first ran for council, I thought it was volunteer, so I was pleasantly surprised when I cleared like, I don't know, $900 a month, you know, seriously. Now I'm just so thankful for that because it's a lot of time away from your family. It's a lot of time in community where the day-to-day changes for you. And I do want to give some credit here to the mayor as well, because you have no idea how much heat you take behind this table. And, you know, the social media especially, like, it really is truly out of control to the point where it does deeply affect your family and your mental health. And I just want to be upfront about that. It affects me, it affects my family, it affects my kids, it affects my partner, it affects everyone around this table. And, you know, Mayor McCachran, you can say what you want about him on social media, but he's clearly very dedicated and passionate. He's been sitting around this table for a very long time. And most people will tell you that when you sit around a table for a long time in politics, you get painted as you're doing something wrong. But really the only thing wrong you've done is you maybe sat there for a long time and people are getting tired of you, quote unquote. But the truth is we are blessed to have a CAO who is well versed in this community, and we're blessed to have a mayor who is well versed in this community and has watched it grow over time and change. And I would even, my God, give up my entire year's salary to hand that to the mayor. And I'm being serious about that, because the role of a mayor right now with amalgamation and the amount of conversations that we have to have with the province, that's all changed. Like, it's my understanding in previous council, you're focused on kind of your small town issues that are coming up, but now these issues really are like provincial and federal. So when you're talking RCMP, I mean, yes, we're footing the bill, but those are conversations consistently with like provincial and federal counterparts. So I would say that the role has changed. I'm happy to table it, as Councillor Wright said. Not table it, sorry. Postpone it, so amend it so that we start it for the new council. I think that's actually fair. I'm totally fine with that. But I do just want to say I see both sides here. At first, Chandra spoke, and I thought, I'm probably going to vote against that. But after hearing Councillor Cornish, I mean, it's true. It's been a rough go. And I can't tell you right now, sitting here, if I would run again. And it's just, we take it day by day, and we're just... If we can somehow incentivize someone else to step up at this table alongside us, and also give people the opportunity to step away knowing that things will be in good hands by preparing the future, you know, and giving some sort of incentive, I'm okay with that.
No, Councillor Heislip.
When I first came in, I think Mark was probably about $5,000 or something like that, but we had, yeah, 2,600. So I mean, it was coffee a day, and I had just as many meetings, but not the topics. This last term has been unbelievable. I've never had any terms like this since I've been in council, and probably not you either. And but I mean, I just want a clarification. I'm fine with the next council, and that was the whole intention of this thing. It wasn't to go and give ourselves a raise. It was the intention of the next council coming in to get it. So if we amend that, I'm fine with it. If you don't want to amend it, you can vote whatever way you want to. But I just need a clarification on that, what we're voting for or what we're going to amend. So.
Okay. First of all, any issue amending? There's no issue amending to delay, so not giving us at the table a raise. Just start it. Okay. Okay, so we just got to change the date?
There are no timelines, like legal timelines to this. This is your bylaw. to put into effect whenever you see fit.
Or we can do it, but after it gets put in, it doesn't have to mess up the next ones.
Try and do a sunrise clause, like that shall take effect for the next general election. I'll need to do a redraft. So if that's the consensus, my suggestion would be someone would make a motion to table it. We'll go back, we'll redraft, we'll bring it back.
I'll make that motion.
Just so table the whole thing for tonight? All right, Councillor Eastman, Councillor Cornish, Brian. Is any more questions on tabling this evening? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, motion carried. What's that?
Your Worship, just perhaps we could go down to request for decision A. Ms. Vest is integral to that project, and she has to leave for a family commitment in a couple minutes. So if we could jump down there, just so her expertise is still in the room, because I don't have the background knowledge. What's that? No, you have some other bylaws to work on first? So
that was the third reading, okay, I got you. So, okay.
But if we could just jump down one item, that would be helpful for Ms. Vest.
All right. So I need a mover and seconder for request for decision for the VISA working group recommendations. Councillor Eastman, Councillor Heislip, floor is yours. I guess no. I guess it might not have any questions. Okay, hold on, sorry. So any questions on the council approves recommendation made by the Visitor Information Center VIC working group? Visitor Information Center working group. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. So, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, so we tabled the second, and do I get to table the third reading too as well? Okay, thank you. I didn't think so, but figured I better ask for procedure. All right, next up, I need a mover and seconder for MDSS bylaw 01-24, a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy, be given its first reading in its entirety. So moved. Councillor Greenlaw?
Second.
Councillor Heislip? Okay, pursuant to Section 5(1), the Business Improvement Area Act be enacted by Council of the Municipal District of St. Stephen as follows. That a business improvement levy be imposed on non-residential property within the business improvement area of the local government that is liable to taxation under the Assessment Act. The 2025 levy shall be in the amount of $28,989.80 at the rate of 20 cents per 100 of property assessment, and the council hereby directs and orders the Minister of Environment and Local Government to levy the said amount pursuant to provisions of the Business Improvement Area Act. I ain't gonna bite the bullet and get glasses. All right. So I had a mover, I had a seconder. Any questions? Councilor.
Have we ever, I know that with the chamber, we've looked at actually like gathering some data from the downtown businesses on how they, like, I would like to have some of that information just on how the downtown businesses are feeling about the BIA, and I would also like to potentially ensure that just like the chamber is aligning with strategic goals of MDSS, that the BIA is doing so as well, just because if we're all on the same page, we're going to have higher success. But it's just a thought.
So Jeff and I talked a little bit about this tonight. If there was any changes, we can certainly look into those. We can still do the first reading and make amendments in the second and third. So if we're thinking we want to continue with the levy, and you just have more information details, that would give us some time. Okay. Did I get that correct? I thought so. All right, thank you. So if that makes you comfortable enough to, okay. Councilor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need to have a little conversation about it a little later, but I can support that first reading for sure. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, okay. Councilor Greenlaw.
I have a request for that information to go to the BIA board. So I'll pass that on to the BIA board that council would like some more information or feedback from the businesses on how they feel the BIA is working for them.
Right on.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've asked that question before too. I think Councilor Greenlaw had discussed that, and it's only fair. You're taxing it's their money. It's not coming really. It's coming out of our budget, but it's coming from them into our budget, and we're just dispersing it back to them. So they're entitled. It'd be nice to hear it. Okay, all right. Based on that, we'll still do the first reading if everyone still is on board. That MDSS bylaw 01-24 bylaw impose a special business improvement levy be given its first reading in entirety, which has been read. I have my mover. I had the seconder. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried for the first reading. Thank you, Council. All right. Now, okay, we did A, so now go B. Costica proposal. Good Lord, you guys, these words. I need a mover and seconder for the council authorizes the purchase of the Costica budget software on or before November 29th in order to receive a 10% pre-order discount as outlined in the Costica budget proposal dated October 10th. Just for clarity, this is a program or a tool to be used in our Treasury Department. Or maybe I'll just let you speak about it, Jeff, and clarify that before.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, my apologies that this didn't go to committee of the whole meeting first, but it was obviously, if you see the timeline that's there, trying to take advantage of an offer that's on the table right now. Celeste and I have been working very hard on looking at some tools that will help create some more efficiencies and effectiveness within our operations. One of the areas that I really wanted to focus on was the actual creation of our municipal budget. God bless Mr. Godso and his spreadsheets and his Microsoft Excel. He's an expert. But I think he'll also admit that having various versions of Excel sheets bouncing around in emails back and forth, different versions, does bog things down sometimes. So what we've been doing is I've been looking at had a few demos of a few products over time, essentially doing a request for proposal type scenario where we were walking through demos. And I landed on this one, which was really kind of intriguing because much of the display and the way it operates mimics the work that Mr. Godso has done with his spreadsheets, which makes it very familiar for all of us on how things get inputted. But what it does is it automates a lot of the processes that we're doing now. For instance, my expectation is over my next 3 days, basically solid, are going to be writing your budget narrative. This program, when the department heads put in a budget request, they put in what it's about, it'll actually create the budget book at the push of a button. It actually designs it all and presses it out. This also has basically would provide, the program that we're looking at doing provides an unprecedented ability for us anyway, for the average citizen to really see where their money's being spent through a public accountability portal. Through our own website, you can drill in. There'll be limitations on how far you can go for privacy purposes, but other than that, you can drill in and see how much of what our money is being spent on whatever item, and rather than going through mounds of check registers that don't necessarily have the best description sometimes. So there's that part of it as well. So we gotten to the point where this was our primary product that I was going to recommend. You'll see in the proposal, City of Moncton is using Questica, City of Riverview, and the City of Dieppe. So the entire metropolis of Moncton has transferred over. I had correspondence with my good friend in Dieppe, who's the city manager, and I said, "What's your been experience with Questica?" And he went over and talked to his treasurer, and he said, "It's been absolutely outstanding. They're actually doing an upgrade, a product enhancement to the package they had." So they're reinvesting in the program because it's actually been so good for them. Honestly, if council's of the mind that you want to not do it tonight, that's okay. You'll probably see a very similar proposal, and right after budget's approved, and I'll be wanting to go forward with this. But the reason it came up is because my contact rep said, hey, listen, we got basically almost like a Black Friday sale going on right now. And if you can get me a commitment before the end of the month, I can save you 10% off of everything. And so I said, well, I'll take it to my council and see what they say. Because I talked to Mr. Godso on the accounting side, and because it won't be operational and ready for us until the new year, it would be a 2025 expenditure. We were already, because I was planning on asking you for this, it's already been built into the draft budget, so no negative budget impact in that regard. So I'm here to hopefully convince you to let me proceed.
Did you? Councilor Cornish.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, just basically what Jeff just said. This firm that we did come in here and did the study, and basically what they do, they look at the process, how work gets done, and then they look at basically, I used to call it putting the lights to it or the system behind it. I spent most of my career in 2 consulting firms plus my past life doing this. I challenged these people when they were here. As I said to them, they almost are talking the same language as it was when I was active. I was impressed. I think that they were the right firm to choose. I know we discussed what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and that was another long night also. And just to back that up, I think we should take advantage of that 10% because that system should improve the information flow from this town very, very quickly once you have those tools in your people. So anyway, personally, I'm for it. I have a background in that, and I think that's the right decision.
Thank you. All right, so let's find out who's all for it. Oh, sorry, Councilor Greenlaw. Go ahead, sir.
No problem. So, whereas this is based, I'm assuming there's an initial fee and there's an annual fee, and do we feel we have all the modules in it that we're going to need to do all the things we do? We're going to start adding modules and add more cost. And what would be the annual cost?
So it's in there. Just find the right page for you.
29.
Yeah, that was the number I was thinking, but yeah, so it's about $29,500 a year. We had $10,000 setup fee this year with all the work. They'll do all the and they'll do the integration with our town suite accounting software as well. They're more than prepared to take on that. And as far as the modules go, there are additional modules here. They will get into your capital planning, and down the road, if we get into more sophisticated strategic planning, they do integrate with another software that's kind of been, I was looking at for a couple years down the road, which actually does your strategic planning, tracks your goals and makes sure that your budgets are lining up with what your goals are. But that's down the road. But right now we're basically focusing on the budget book, the public accountability, and the budget software itself. So.
Can they handle asset management at all? The module for that?
I'd have to confirm. It definitely integrates. I'm not sure if they have if they have their own built in. I don't recall.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say, it looks like a lot, but when you understand what subscription fees cost for programs, it's not really extravagant. And I do think that with the efficiencies it will bring to staff across all departments for working on the budget, you'd probably save that in HR costs, and make our staff more efficient. So I think it's a wise investment to make, and I'm for having it purchased sooner so we can get on the ground sooner.
And just on the dropping things, just on the dropping things, we actually are in the process of dropping a couple of modules that we're paying for in your eScribe program that we haven't been utilizing. So it won't offset obviously, but there will be some cost savings on another part of the software budget as we drop those modules at renewal as well.
I guess I'm already green. Okay, so seeing no more questions, I had a mover, I had a seconder, or did I? No, I didn't. I caught that myself before I saw your hand. I'll take a Councilor Harding.
I second.
Councilor Cornish. No more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Of doing the 10%. Yeah, this one here, the one that's right before you. Yeah. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Okay. Next up, I need a mover and seconder. The council authorizes the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement on the Canada Community Building Fund with the local governments 2024-2033 as presented by the Department of Environment and Local Government. Councillor Eastman, Councillor Cornish, any questions? Councillor Wright?
Thank you. Could we just get the CAO to give a brief explainer of, not necessarily for us, but
Yeah.
Yes, so what is before you is, yes, the Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF is what we call it now. It's what we call the gas tax fund. It is a transfer from the federal government through to municipalities by way of the province of a portion of the gas tax that's collected. What we have here, just recently in April, I think it was, the federal government and the government of New Brunswick had to renew the gas tax agreement, which meant that all the municipalities had to sign new versions of their versions of the agreement. You may recall that a little while ago we did a capital plan that supports the gas tax fund and how we plan on spending the money. When we submitted that, our rep at GNB said, okay, and your requirements are going to be out in the next couple of weeks. And we didn't see ours until just last week. Actually, it got triggered that they sent out a reminder, and apparently seems like a few municipalities didn't get the digital transfer, got lost or whatever, got caught up in junk folders, who knows. So we got a new copy last week, and I promised them I would get it before council for authorizations right away. It's boilerplate stuff that we need to sign in order to get access to our next batch of funding. So.
Any more questions?
I just have.
Deputy Mayor?
When I was reading the original letter, it was signed by the Honorable Glenn Savoy, who was a Minister of Local Government, but since then, it has changed, right? So does that make a difference?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I have my mover, I have my seconder. We have had our questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Wade. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Council. Okay, next up, I need a mover and seconder. The council received within correspondence for informational purposes. Thank you notes from the St. Stephen Middle School and a thank you letter from the St. Croix branch number 9. Council Heislip, Deputy Mayor, any questions? Okay.
I just want to shout out here to it's Kendall and Nora and Carissa and Quinn and the 6-7 class at SSMS. It's not every day you get a handwritten card from students these days, so I just want to shout you out if you're watching or your parents are watching. Kudos to you, and thanks to the teachers too for encouraging this. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's not every day, but you do get. It's surprising how many letters I do get in the mayor's office from the students. Yeah. No, and I had them all come in one day, and it is a joy. So yes. So just to clarify, they're thanking Michelle Vest, she was just here this evening, for her work with the Orange Shirt Day and Truth and Reconciliation Day. So it's a support from Michelle and her team, and that's for thank you for that. And I'm gonna read the other thank you letters from the St. Croix branch number 9 on behalf of the executive and members of the St. Croix branch number 9 of the Royal Canadian Legion. Thank you for your generous support during the Poppy campaign and Remembrance Day ceremony. From the storage / hoisting of the military banners and permission to hold the Remembrance Day service every year, set up, tear down, and security along with the Milltown Boulevard, as well as all the little things that bring this time of remembrance to fruition. We could not do this without your assistance, so thank you for keeping our veterans in your hearts. So thank you for that letter this evening, and it's yeah. And I'm going to share Councillor Eastman's thank you too, because when we showed up that morning at the Remembrance Day, the leaves were all gone. He's like, where did they all go? And anyway, so that was, the town did that for you too, or the crew, and so anyways, thank you for that comment as well, and for everything you do and have done in your support. All right. Had a mover, had a seconder, all those in favor accepting thank you notes? Any opposed? I hope not. Motion carried. Okay, and I'll take a mover and seconder to accept the council reports and acknowledged and received. Councilor Harding?
Second.
Councilor Eastman? All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Thank you. And I'll take a mover and seconder that pursuant to Section 68, Bracket 1, the Local Governments Act, council moved to a closed session for the purpose of discussing financial matter, and third financial matter.
I move.
Councilor Cornish, Councilor Heislip, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are now moving into closed.